Hi, I'm Hannah, and welcome to JNN, The Year in Review, where we focus on the years leading up to the Civil War. Tonight, our top stories are centered on the year of 1852. Firstly, we will review the presidential election, which was between military hero General Winfield Scott and the dark horse candidate Franklin Pierce. Secondly, we will discuss the highly controversial novel that helped start the Civil War, which was Uncle Tom's Cabin. Also tonight, we are bringing you an exclusive interview with Franklin Pierce before his win in the 1852 election. Also, we will interview Winfield Scott. All of these major events will be covered in tonight's JNN, The Year in Review 1852 edition. Now to Chris B. Bacon, reporting from the Baltimore election site.
This is Chris B. Bacon reporting live in Baltimore, just outside the Democratic Convention Center, where Franklin Pierce was nominated as a candidate in the presidential election. This election of 1852 was in no way a close match. The dark horse candidate, Franklin Pierce, ended up defeating military general Winfield Scott. It is important to note that California just became a state during the election cycle, and this swayed the voting. Pierce took the electoral and popular vote. He received 1,609,038 votes, while Winfield Scott had 1,386,629 in the popular. Pierce did take the electoral by a landslide with 254 votes, while Winfield had 42 votes. Winfield Scott only took 4 states in the electoral polls. Franklin Pierce was the second dark horse candidate elected by the Democrats. Whigs elected General Winfield Scott for his military abilities. Eventually, during the election, the Whig Party was split. Both candidates seemed to stray away from the topic of slavery, although both were for the Fugitive Slave Act. Franklin Pierce was a pro-Southern Northerner, so there was much mudslinging. He was called a doughface by the angry Northerners. Whigs said that Pierce was the hero of many a well-fought battle, referring to his drinking habits. Democrats cried, "We poked them in 44. We'll pierce them in 52. That's exactly what they did, and General Scott was defeated in the election. Reporting live, Chris B. Bacon.
Hello, welcome back to JNN News. Today I'm here with Franklin Pierce, presidential candidate. Who was your main influence in politics?
I would have to say that my main influence was my father, Benjamin. Now, Benjamin was elected the governor of New Hampshire, and my father then elected me to be the Speaker of the House. This really jump-started my career in politics. My father made sure I had a great and strong education. And education did not come easy for me, but I worked hard enough. And when I went to college, I graduated 5th in my class.
Tell us about your military experience.
Well, going into the Mexican-American War, I really had no military experience before. I was all about politics. I did manage to lead 2,000 troops into Mexico. But this did not end very well for me. As you may have heard, I might have fell off the horse and injured my left knee. My left knee aches a bit, but what can I say? I think my military experience went pretty well, other than that.
Do you feel that your opponent's military experience will give him an advantage in this election?
Well, I do have some military advantage also. I don't think that just having military advantage over me will really win him the election. I think he should have some political experience also to become president.
What is the reason for your 10-year political hiatus?
Well, my wife, Jane, was absolutely disgusted by politics, which is pretty ironic. But I mean, she was a Whig, and I'm a Democrat, so I love my wife, Jane, dearly. And we have children, and we lost one, so it just felt right to be back home. And I went back to Concord. She didn't like when I went to Washington, so I had to take a break from politics for a while.
What is your opinion on slavery?
I support the right for the South to own slaves, although I did grow up in Hillsborough, New Hampshire. But I do agree also with the Jacksonians on the Compromise of 1850, and I endorse the Fugitive Slave Act.
Why do you believe you were a favorable candidate for the Democratic Convention in Baltimore?
Well, I do believe that I'm favorable amongst the South and the North because I am pro-slavery, but I am from the North. For the most part, I have stayed out of the public eye and out of anything. I was very little known before this election. I'm very enemy-less. I mean, I don't stir up no beef with anybody, but I won't call myself vegetarian.
What are your plans to better the country if you are elected?
Well, I really do think that the U.S. needs to expand. I want to annex Hawaii and Alaska. Also, I'm a firm believer of manifest destiny.
Do you think you'll be falling off any more horses in your political career?
I'm gonna get back on the horse and I'm never gonna fall off again. Drop the cane.
Hello. Today we are here with presidential candidate General Winfield Scott.
Hello.
It is rumored that your lifelong dream is to become president of the United States. Is this true?
Yes, I love this country, and being president would be an incredible honor.
I agree. The Duke of Wellington has called you the greatest living soldier. How do you feel about this?
It is obviously an immense honor. However, you have to view war as a game of chess. You have to predict what the other side is going to do, and you have to have a strategy for whatever happens.
Very interesting. I like that. So your performance in the Mexican-American Revolution was very impressive. Your captain, Robert E. Lee, helped you by scouting routes for flank maneuvers. Was this as helpful as it sounds?
Yes, absolutely. In chess terms, if I'm the king controlling everything on the board, he is my queen. I couldn't do anything without him. He is my second-hand man.
That is very nice. Now, what do you believe is your best military success?
I would have to say that my best military success is where I campaigned and took Mexico City. Mexico City was the center of Santa Anna's government, and I knew that Mexico would fight to keep it. But after months and months of fighting, we finally took the city and won the Mexican-American War.
Thank you, General. That was General Winfield Scott, an American war hero. We wish you the best of luck on the upcoming election, and make sure you vote.
Thanks, Crispy Bacon, for that wonderful report on the election of 1852 and the interview with Franklin Pierce. Now let's go to our lovely commenter, Margarita, for her analysis of Uncle Tom's Cabin.
Recently, author Harriet Beecher Stowe published a novel titled Uncle Tom's Cabin. This is Uncle Tom's Cabin, and I want to burn it. There's just so much in it that is not true. And how would this woman even know? She was from Connecticut, the North. And where was this all going on? The South. There wasn't one bit of truth to it. And how would she know anyways? Was she in the South? No. Really. Tom's mistress and her opinions? What kind of message does that send? Making everyone in the South sound like they're a bunch of adultery committers. I do not approve. There is so much wrong with this book. And she was so for the Fugitive Slave Acts, which are a pair of federal laws that allowed for the capture and return of slaves within U.S. territory. She was so against that, but she didn't even know what it was really about, because she wasn't in the South. Connecticut. That doesn't sound like the South to me. So personally, I think this book is inaccurate, historically inaccurate in many ways than one, making it seem like slave owners and bounty hunters were these horrible people. They were just trying to make a living, own their farms the right way. This woman really had no right.
What is your opinion on Harriet Beecher Stowe?
Ugh, my opinion on Harriet Beecher Stowe, it's very low, let me tell you. This woman, she took part in the Underground Railroad whenever she lived in Ohio. Who would do that? Who would aid these people in running away from work that they had the privilege of having over here from what they were experiencing in Africa? Tell me how much better their life would have been over there. The Underground Railroad was a disgrace, and so was Harriet Beecher Stowe for thinking that taking any part in it was good for the country, because it wasn't. She had come to the South maybe once. Once I heard she was in Kentucky for a little while. But that's not just the South. She witnessed slavery, apparently, firsthand. Well, Kentucky doesn't speak for the entire South. Slavery isn't the same. Not every slave owner handles their slaves the same. Therefore, it was wrong of her to judge a book by its cover and just assume that everyone was like that. Everybody is harsh to their slaves. No. There are many slave owners that treat their house slaves very well, and their work slaves that work out in the fields. So, in my opinion, Harriet Beecher Stowe is a horrible individual for thinking so out of the box.
As you can see, the major events that took place in 1852 were crucial in shaping the Civil War. During this year, the different opinions of slavery tore the nation apart, as seen with the election of 1852 and Uncle Tom's Cabin. That's all we have for tonight, folks. Stay tuned for the next episode of JNN.